So we're driving to a 40-acre property in Juneau County. We're about 10 minutes from that property that's going to be coming on the market. Just showing some behind the scenes on that. Just having a day in the life of me, I guess. That's kind of what we're doing. This property is pretty much recreational only. We've got some nice bucks, black bear, some wolf are there. He's had some beaver out at the property. So it sounds like a really diverse type of property. So we're going to be pulling in pretty much any minute now, and we'll be taking a look at it, seeing what we can do and get it on the market for him and try to find a new buyer. So this property is actually an MFL-closed, and when we pulled in here, there's a lot of younger trees on this property, and some people might think of that as like a bad thing, but when I'm looking at a hunting property like this, there's a lot of cover in here, and so like even just seeing through the woods, you can't really see that far, so it's really, really good cover that I think a lot of people overlook because they're so used to wanting, you know, big mature trees. You can tell there's a lot of oaks in here. Just by the leaves that are on the ground. So this is a really nice cover spot for deer and other wildlife on this property. I want to track the trails that this owner has, and so I'm using onX as well as Land ID. So I'm using their tracking tools. So it's going to track the path that I'm walking on the property right now. And what I really didn't expect was how turnkey this property actually is. So we came down the trail, and you can see over this way, he actually planted some apple trees and has some barrels basically to collect water so that it's easier to water those trees. And we got a stand site back over here that has a really nice entryway to keep everything nice and quiet. So far we've only probably walked about maybe 8 acres of the almost 40, and everything's looking really, really good. So what's cool about what we've been walking so far is there's just a slight change in the topography. So where we're standing right now is a little bit lower, but you have a lot of this lower grassland, this really thick brush. But then as you kind of go in different spots, it rises just a little bit more. So that's where you run into like more oak trees. That's where the campsite is. That's where most of the trails are. So you have these little different pockets and different contours, and it's just a slight change, but it makes a really big difference in the type of vegetation that's on this property. So when we first started, I was talking about Land ID and onX. So I'm on Land ID right now, but we were tracking all of our stuff because I'm going to do an overlay so people can follow these trails when they have our interactive map. So I was running 2 of them just because this doesn't have the best reception. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. So then, you know, here's the onX version. So it's very similar. So I'm going to compare the 2, and then I'll make a final map that has all the overlays for the trail, and then also the easement when we drive out. That'll be tracked as well, so that I can overlay that onto our final map. When a lot of people hear the word easement, they get a little scared because you're sharing rights with another property owner, but we're actually driving out on the easement that this property is serviced by. As long as everything's, you know, properly documented, that certainly helps. So it's not something to shy away from. The only thing I would add to that though is you just got to make sure you do your homework on, you know, how well the easement is documented, if it's been surveyed recently, who you're sharing it with, how many properties it crosses, just to get the details on it so that, you know, if something does go wrong, you know where to dig, but you're also doing your due diligence and feeling comfortable with it before you end up buying a property that's serviced by an easement.